I do this every night. That's just called my life. That's not a trend.
Yeah.
You are the trend. I am the trend.
Welcome to the Sheer Lax Team podcast with me, Charlotte Collins. This week I'm joined by Harriet Russell. Hodge? Sarah? Who are you? I can't say Sarah Templeton. That's weird.
Every time I go to email you, I'm like, no.
Yeah. We'll go with...
I've got a Hodge.
Oh, have you?
You can do both. Hodge Templeman. And Heather Steele. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
How's everyone doing?
Yeah, good.
There's a bit of lurgy floating around this office.
I know, me and Heather are a bit down on our luck, aren't we? But we're going to struggle through.
I think I'm post-lurgy, but still got a bit of a raspy.
Yeah.
Really compared to this time last week, I feel fucking great.
Oh my God.
I really don't want to catch this.
You
said you're dosing up on vitamin C.
Yeah, there's this thing, Tool got sent it. They do a snooze one and a vitamin C one, and it's a tablet you take. We use them every night to sleep actually, and then there's a vitamin C tablet and you eat it, and I felt a bit yesterday, a bit throaty, and I took one yesterday and I take one this morning. I feel fine.
Oh great.
I'll put the link in the show
When
notes.
you say you eat it,
you eat it,
like you chew it.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah,
Is it
it's
nice?
weird. Yeah, it's fine.
I'm really enjoying the Vida Glow, who were on the podcast a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Theirs like literally burst. They're like, remember when you were like a child and you had a vitamin in it? Like it's like a jelly capsule that bursts in your mouth. It's really quite fun.
That is fun.
Anything to get you to take.
Well, there you go. It works exactly. Happy post Barbie day to three of us.
Yeah.
I don't want it's difficult because I know a lot of people have got Barbie fatigue and kind of had it even before it came out because of the wild marketing around the film. But we can't not talk about it, and we record our podcast on a Monday, so a few of us did see it over the course of the weekend. So apologies if you've heard about it to death, but we are going to be talking about Barbie. But Heather, first you saw Oppenheimer this weekend.
I did. Oh my God. So we'll talk about Barbie afterwards, but I went on my own to see Barbie on Saturday and then went to go see Oppenheimer yesterday morning, and it was like one of the best films I've ever seen.
Wow,
it's
really?
so good. Like everything. I can't fault it at all. It's like a 10 out of 10 for me. It's just so good. Like the casting, Cillian Murphy, like the acting anyway is amazing. The sound, like if it doesn't win Oscar for like best sound editing, then I like honestly I don't know what else would even be up for it. The pacing, because I mean it is 3 hours long, but it doesn't feel it, and like the way the story unfolds, and because it is obviously Christopher Nolan who's done like Inception and stuff like that, Tenet, so he's got. It's not like either of those films at all, but just the storytelling and some of the flashbacks and the way the whole thing sort of goes from start to finish is really, really clever, but not like in a, this is clever kind of way. It's just really gripping, like even when the bomb has gone off, there's still another hour after that. And when it happened, you're like, there's still an hour, what's going to happen? But it's just so fascinating how it all unfolds.
Because, sorry, for those who don't know, Oppenheimer is the true story of Mr. Oppenheimer or Professor Oppenheimer.
So J. Robert Oppenheimer was the scientist who created the atomic bomb.
Okay.
So it's about his life. But it's mainly centred on the sort of the war effort and his sort of crew of physicists who kind of helped him, and then I guess the kind of moral dilemma between being one of the greatest scientists of your time doing something scientific versus the moral implications of, the people like the President of the United States who makes that decision about whether to actually use what you've done.
Is it long?
It's 3 hours, but it's not boring, and it's not like a serious, boring history film or anything.
It's
like
interesting that you
Yeah.
say that, because American Vogue on their podcast, the run through, one of the journalists walked out. She was so bored.
Oh, she needs to get a life, whoever that is.
She
Honestly,
described it as 3 hours of men talking.
It's not though. Like I read all that stuff before. Like, oh my God, there isn't a woman in it until 20 minutes. It's like, so what?
Yeah,
It's
that doesn't-
of
that's
the
the time,
time.
yeah.
Like you can't just like add people in who weren't there just to like make your film like better for
Feel relevant in
2023.
2023.
And like some of the women in it, Emily Blunt, who plays his wife, is amazing, and she's in loads of scenes and it has like a real powerful presence. Like I don't think it's like, ooh man, or anything like that, having seen it at all. It's just honestly can't stress enough how much you need to see it in the cinema. Like,
Okay.
I can't imagine watching that at home and having the same experience.
Okay, that's
And
interesting
just
to know.
go for a massive wee beforehand. Don't have a giant
Good snacks.
Pepsi
Yeah.
and just go for it.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
some people walked out 3 times to go for a wee. I'm like, well, you're missing stuff.
Yeah, you're missing the
Stop it.
crucial detail. Well, I imagine it is quite detail oriented.
It is, but it's not boring. Like, that's what I mean. Because it's Christopher Nolan. Like, it's just so
Yeah.
gripping, and everything's placed so perfectly. It's so clever. Like, it's got so many of the cast from like the Batman series as well, which I'm not into superhero films at all. But the Batman series he did, I just think is
Oh, his
just
Batman was
incredible.
phenomenal.
Like,
Agreed.
just
Who was his
so good.
Batman?
Christian Bale.
Christian
yeah.
Bale.
Oh, yeah.
But it
But
had-
those three.
Amazing.
Yeah.
With
But-
Michael Caine.
and yes, exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah,
wouldn't put that
those
with
films
anyone
are like
else.
Insane. Yeah.
unbelievable.
But there's so
films.
many people from that in it who keep cropping
That's
up.
cool.
And yeah, no, honestly, I can't recommend it enough.
Okay,
It's
good
so,
to
so
know.
good.
Okay.
I'd
And-
also really recommend, if you haven't listened to it, it came out ages ago because we recommended it on the site, like probably in the middle of the pandemic, which is a podcast called The Bomb. And
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, the episodes, I think there are 8 and they're only about half an hour each, so it's not a massive investment. And it takes you through the complete history, like from early 1930s and how it's really the Germans that discover nuclear fission
Yeah,
first.
yeah, that's in the film too.
Yeah, exactly. And then that sort of sparks this race. And it takes you through sort of who the key players are, which probably won't feature in this film. They probably won't get their due because everything they're doing is like a decade earlier.
Possibly. Einstein's in it quite a few times.
Yeah.
It's a surprising pop-up.
I don't think I even
Yeah.
knew until now that Einstein was such a contemporary, really. I
Yeah.
sort of figured he was long gone, but yeah.
He pops up.
Oh, what? Isn't he was alive then?
Yeah,
you'd
yeah,
think
living in the United
Yeah,
States.
it's true. I could never
Yeah.
date Einstein for you.
No.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. Right.
But that's why it's funny, because you're like,
Yeah. Oh, he's like
Yeah.
there, like as a
Yeah.
contemporary.
Yeah, he and
Yeah.
Oppenheimer like work at Princeton after the war, so
You were talking about that podcast.
yeah, it's called The Bomb and it's a BBC production. You can get it on Sounds or Apple Podcasts, but I'd highly recommend if you want sort of, if you see the film and want more or you want to sort of get a bit of context before you go either.
Okay.
I reckon watch the film first if you don't know what's going to happen. Just
Yeah, that's fair.
soak it all up.
Sorry, can we also talk about a Sunday morning cinema trip?
Yeah, that was the best
That's
bit.
nice.
I said it this morning,
Yeah.
didn't I, to the desk. So
I love it.
yeah, this screening was at 11:20, so I'd had a nice big breakfast at home, got there, and then 3-hour film, had some, what are they called, those magic stars, those Milky Way magic stars.
yeah, I
Back
love
of those,
those.
which I hadn't had
Old
in
school,
about,
yeah.
oh, they were really good. And just 3 hours, and then came out, and it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
and it's like,
you've
this
got your
is
day.
fun. Exactly, I
Yeah.
had friends round for a
Dream.
really late lunch,
Oh,
and
nice.
then they'd gone by like 7:30, watched the not US Traitors, Aussie Traitors.
Oh, right. Any good? No.
Good Sunday night telly when
Okay.
you've just watched the best thing you've ever watched in your life.
Nothing else is going to live up.
Exactly, but no, I would heartily recommend it.
Okay.
I would do that again. An early morning
Yeah.
cinema trip.
Love that idea.
Yeah.
Electric cinemas have historically always done like a breakfast cinema, Sunday
Oh.
breakfast cinema thing, and I think
That's cool.
it's quite nice, like a 9:30 or something.
Yeah,
So
like
people
not
bother to get up.
too early, so you
Yeah.
can still have your Sunday morning lie-in.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice.
You should do that. That is the thing about having children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going to the cinema is like we never go to the cinema because
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Pay
waste
a babysitter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or if you're going to
Yeah.
do that, you'll be going out with mates or going
Yeah.
out for
Exactly.
dinner or something.
Yeah. I literally can't remember the last time.
Yeah, you can't justify it.
No.
Do your
Yeah.
kids not enjoy the cinema
No,
themselves?
when we go with them.
What's that like?
Well,
Do you have to
Zach's
see absolute...
10, so we last saw Indiana Jones with him. So it's good.
Okay, that's
It's
good.
getting
better, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, also I was just having I really enjoyed the Instagram grid post you put up this morning. And can we talk, was it Maison Balzac, your shrimp?
Yes,
Oh my God, I'm
I love
obsessed
it.
with them.
Harriet
They're so
said that when
cool.
she was
I
subbing
know
my
when I
Oh,
said
I
it, I looked at each
love
other, I was
them.
like, I'm obsessed with this glass.
Yeah, it's basically an Aussie brand again. They do all the best homeware, don't they? And it's slowly coming over
So
here.
it's like a martini glass with a shrimp.
a
like
glass, shrimp,
coming-
attached,
yeah.
so it's like a prawn cocktail thing
Yeah.
with
Oh
a
my God,
permanent shrimp.
So chic.
But yeah, I've only got one because they're really
Oh,
expensive.
yeah,
I
they're
was
like
like, this
£85
is
each.
mine.
I've got that with one. There's a brand called the Glass. Oh, I'm gonna get it wrong. The Glass Studios. Anyway, we'll put it in the notes.
Yeah.
And they're £85, so
Yeah.
I have one, and I just use it as a vase instead.
Also, I was like, it could be a nut bowl, or we can put some olives in.
Yeah.
But then I had my one drink in it. Like, you can have that glass. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
this, but I'm very like worried about smashing it. So
Yeah, it's really
yeah.
let's see how long it lasts. I'm quite clumsy.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I like it.
Nice. Hodge, what have you been up to?
We had a family wedding on Saturday,
Nice.
which was
Shame
really
about the weather.
nice. It was such awful
Saturday
weather.
was awful.
Saturday was terrible.
My mum
Well-
did say anyone who woke up on Sunday would be like cursing if they had got married
Yeah.
the day
Oh, so
before.
true. Sunday was lovely.
Oh,
yeah.
I felt so sorry for her. It was James's cousin's wedding, so they're early 30s. and it was driving rain. Like from arriving at the church to leaving the reception. And it was at her parents' house, the reception marquee, and a gorgeous garden, and we were just all like squashed. And it's sort of funny. It makes you feel like you really want to give them a good time.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
It's also good luck, isn't it? Rain on your
It's good. That's what everyone kept saying to her. She was like,
yes, I know. As her dress is soaking
but
up
she
with
was
water.
so chilled. I was like, I think she must have taken half a Xanax or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
She was so like, it's fine.
What did you wear?
I wore a Zimmermann dress that I'd never worn.
Oh, nice.
And then I got a headband but with a veil
Cute.
over it.
That.
I know. Everyone was like, "Wow, you're extra."
What's the heel situation like with the
wet,
soggy
block
ground?
heels. But I met this really fun older woman there. She's like 60, and we sat down in the church, and she was next to me, and she turned to me, and she went, when you walked in, I said, now that is a fucking dress. And I was like, oh my God, you are going to be my new best friend. But yeah, she was so nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
okay,
really
so you
fun.
made a friend.
Yeah, I made a friend.
Okay, great.
But because we drank so much champagne, and then we were really doing some proper dance moves, and James and I were laughing because I was like, in my head, we looked really hot. But obviously, we're so much older than everyone there. They must have been like, oh, wow.
No, I bet they loved it.
Yeah, you give them hope.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure I was flashing my knickers. I was in the middle of the dance circle. I was like, oh my God,
You went for it.
slightly, you know, when you have to just click and go, it's gone.
I do have to say, watching my own parents dance is one of the most awful things.
Yeah.
It is
I
awful.
like
Oh,
it.
I hate it.
I think if my parents didn't look hideously uncomfortable when they dance, I wouldn't mind.
Both my
but it's
parents
the
think they're amazing singers and amazing dancers, and they are neither.
Oh, I wouldn't mind watching mine if they thought they were good dancers.
I think it's
But they're not-
nice.
but
They're
they're
still in
not.
Mine do
that.
Yeah. Oh no, but that's
Just a lot of
they're
clicking and
enjoying
like.
themselves.
No, I'm not sure they
My
are.
parents are worse.
Oh,
They're like
okay.
real
Yeah.
gyrators. It's like,
Oh,
please
okay,
stop
yeah,
that.
that's
Oh no, but
Stop
they're
that.
divorced. Presumably they didn't drive together.
No, not together. But that's almost worse.
I don't need to see
That's
that.
almost worse. Doing it on your own. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
gyrating
I know.
against no
It's
one.
not ideal.
Literally.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
James was like, you were trying to climb me like a tree at one point.
Yeah, I never need to see my parents do that.
No.
I'll say
The kids weren't there, thank God.
Yeah.
They were being babysat. So, but yeah.
Harriet, what about you? What have you been up to?
I mean, the main thing I did was see Barbie.
All right, let's do
So
it.
we might as well.
Can I just, before we talk about Barbie, let me just briefly talk about the Diva exhibition at the V&A, which I saw yesterday, which is, it's basically in two parts. The first is about the traditional diva, so mostly about opera divas, kind of how that became a thing in the, 19th century and what that meant, and then how the word diva was kind of manipulated and bastardized to mean something, somebody who was a bit of a diva in the way that we know it now. Yeah. It's storytelling in and around the women who kind of encapsulated those various movements. So it goes from like those 1800s opera divas through to Marilyn Monroe, and that's kind of the basis for it. And then the second floor is completely different, and it's about like modern day divas and how we've kind of reclaimed that word. And so that's where all the fabulous, like, that's everyone from Rihanna to Cher to Elton John to Freddie Mercury. It's basically got fashion from Shirley Bassey.
I love
all
there's
of
men
the,
as well.
yeah, there's men as
Drag
well,
men,
which is
yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Only a few choice men, but obviously like they do fit within that modern version of
Yeah.
what a diva is. There's Lady Gaga, there's Beyonce. So I'm not sure it's like the best curated exhibition I've ever been to. It's quite, they've basically just taken a word and hooked almost two separate kind of catalogues of clothing onto the same word. But I guess it's interesting to see kind of how that word has evolved and what it means now. And the second half is definitely more interesting than the first half. But yeah, if you want to go and see some, they've got Met Gala looks and they've got Oscar looks and kind of, some really, especially like outlandish items from those people as well, because obviously they're trying to demonstrate the diva-ishness of them. So they've got Elton John, that incredible kind of Baroque Rococo style look that he wore for one of his big birthdays, with the white curly wig. The kind of Louis Cannes kind of aesthetic. And they've got, I'm sure there's lots of different references, but you know what I mean. And they've got a dress that Rihanna wore pregnant. Anyway, loads of fabulous fashion. So it's not hours worth of entertainment, but it's worth a look if you're into fashion. All right, Barbie. Let's go. Harriet, unleash.
I'm annoyed I haven't seen it for this chat, but I can grasp it. I think.
We're not gonna include spoilers.
No. Okay.
No, I'll try and be as spoiler-free as possible.
So what did you think? So, sorry, should we preface this by saying it came out on Friday, and for the most part, the reviews have been glowing.
Yeah.
Like really, really glowing. Both kind of proper critical reviews and kind of social media.
Yeah.
Word of mouth.
I know. So part of me, I think, is maybe just disappointed off like unrealistic hype. Combine the reviews with the marketing and the premieres and everything, and you just think, how could it have ever lived up to it? But I do genuinely think it's actually not very good.
Yeah. So why is that?
So I told Heather this morning that I have one major actual issue, and this is where I feel like I might get into spoiler territory, so stop me. But this is not a spoiler. The film opens with a sequence that's very clever, I think, which is they are trying to position Barbie, the original sort of 1950s Barbie, as quite a modern revolution. Previously, it was little girls playing with like dollies that were like babies, and they're saying that Barbie, when she arrived, was really this like sexy modern reinterpretation that girls could play with. And I was like, yeah, that's a really good point. Like, I really hadn't thought about it that way. So, however, the film then goes through, and there are plenty of flaws that I'm sure you guys can pick up with in the middle. But then at the end, there is what is supposed to be quite a moving montage of sort of what it means to be human. And
I think it's what it means to be a woman.
What it means to be a woman, exactly. This is, you're feeding into my rage, hang on. So what it means to be a woman, and therefore what like the fullest human experience of being a woman is. And Barbie is being sort of led in this like vision, and all the footage pretty much is about mothers and babies.
It was.
Really.
And I just sat there as a childless woman who faces quite a lot of like daily onslaught about like, what do you mean you don't have children? Aren't you 34? Like,
it's
you know, like concern, and you know, we can talk about that for days. But I just sat there and I was like, sorry, so you're saying if I don't have a child, I'm not like fulfilling my womanhood or even my just human experience on this planet.
I do think that so this is a montage of those are real clips of real women, and I think that quite a lot of it was childhood, which maybe could be interpreted as motherhood, but it was just of children.
The first image though is of a woman nursing her baby, and then the rest of it, yes, you're right, there's like flashes of childhood. So I was waiting for it to like come to this climax of like these young girls are going to grow up into like, you're going to watch them graduate from college. You're going to watch them become president.
So right.
You're going to watch them become astronaut. Yeah, exactly.
None of that.
And there was none of it. It just stopped at like 9 years old, and like more mums like hugging their children. I was like, and then Barbie like opens her eyes and she's like, yes, as in like that's what I want. I'm like, great. So the whole like, and they're really like, it's a feminist absolute bash over the head. Like there's absolutely no subtlety to it whatsoever. And there are parts of it that are done really well. America Ferrera has this really quite powerful monologue halfway through. Monologue. Me too. There were little girls in my cinema clapping. Yeah. And I was like, this is so heartwarming. Like, and
it's a monologue about kind of how hard being a woman is, you know, you have to the contradictions, like you have to be feminine but not too feminine, you have to be like, you know, a skinny boss, but not actually mean. You can't actually be skinny, and you have to still be able to eat, but you have to still be skinny, like, you know, it's those, and it's like and she goes on and on and on, and you're just like, fuck, this, and you realise
this is like, it is hard. It just like it's doesn't end,
yeah,
and it's brilliant. And like I say, the little girls were applauding in my cinema, so there are hints of it in the film where you're like, they've got this messaging and they're going to wring it dry, but it's important. And then the end montage is the most important thing you can do with your life is be a mother.
That's so funny.
And I sort of look at you, knowing you're a mother, and I'm not meaning to say that mothers aren't valuable. Of course they are.
But it's not what it doesn't define you.
It can define you if that's how you wish to be defined. Exactly. Great, but it's your choice, right?
I felt like the point they were making was that womanhood is, like, to be fulfilled is motherhood.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what? How are we still, like, in this space? Like, it drives me mental.
Heather, you also weren't a fan.
I don't know, I really wanted to like it because I love Greta so much. I've loved all her past films, and I thought, oh, what a great cast, what a great idea, it's going to be fun. I was obsessed with Barbies when I was younger, like they were my mates. I loved them, but I don't know, I just found it really boring. Didn't really go anywhere, didn't think like everyone's like Ryan Gosling's gonna get an Oscar for this performance, and I was like,
oh, I did think he's not
He was
Oscar worthy because
good.
it's a comedy performance.
but
it
you
was
get Oscars for comedy, but I just
I
didn't
thought it was
think it
brilliant.
was that funny. I don't know. Honestly, everyone was like laughing in the cinema, and I was just like,
See, no one in my cinema laughed out loud. There was a lot of like, like, you know, when he's flexing and like doing all these funny things, everyone's like, but there was no like rolling around on the floor. This is so funny.
That in mine, and I was like, what am I missing here? Like, I just didn't connect with it, and I don't know what it was or why, but I just didn't. I didn't
really get his like
anything.
dance sequences either.
Well, that was my big problem with the movie.
Okay, go on then.
The soundtrack was shite, I think.
Unbelievably bad.
I quite like the soundtrack.
Oh no, I thought it was dreadful.
No, I thought it was dreadful.
Okay.
What, were there lots of dancing?
No!
This is what's so strange. So,
but wait for it.
So, the things that I liked, I thought that the costumes and the sets were
the costumes are immaculate.
incredible.
But even the costumes I was bored of because of this whole campaign beforehand. It felt like we've seen so many cool things, so I wasn't awed by it because we'd already seen it.
And I also thought it took about half an hour for me to see a single moment in the film that I hadn't seen trailers as well. Like I was like, I get it, you're going to the real world, come on, crack on. But I did think it was all, and like her wardrobe, and then like you know, the Chanel bits, and like, you know, there's a lot of product placement in this film.
Oh my god, when she pulled the Chanel bag out, I was like, well done, Kate.
But even at the very beginning, that Chanel, when she's the first scene when she goes to her wardrobe, there's all these Chanel bags in it. It's amazing. Anyway, so I thought the sets were
they were amazing,
amazing, and I thought,
like clever, like, you know,
really clever.
When she stands, this is what somebody when she stands into the shower and there's no water.
Exactly, it's all
like,
really clever.
Yeah,
it is. And I also thought all the acting was really good. I did think Ryan Gosling was brilliant. I thought he was so funny. But I thought that it was just like fundamentally so silly. The whole thing was so I felt like an assault on my senses. It was so silly. Like, so there are basically, it's not a musical, but then there are these random moments where Ryan Gosling just has these like grease lightning kind of
but there are two of them, and they come really sort of like in the final quarter of the film. So it's, as Charlotte says, it's not like it's been this continual musical theme of like people breaking into
like
songs.
La La Land.
Yeah, it's like none of it, and then two of them really close together, and then nothing.
So
but
I think
they weren't good either.
No, they were terrible.
I love a musical. I love some high camp drama, a dance routine you're not expecting.
what Mamma Mia is not.
One of my favourite films. I love stuff like that, but it was just so soulless.
I agree, and I do think like I came up, I don't want to give it away, but that whole bit with all the men on the beach, and that was the bit that actually really lost me. I was really glazed over at that point, and I went to sit with a big group of girlfriends, and we were talking about it afterwards, and one of my friends was like, oh, I think it's symbolic of the way men kind of go to war, and it's all about ego, and I was like, okay, I suppose if you look at it on a deeper level, it probably has some meaning behind it, but just the execution felt so over the top. I was just a bit like, oh, I need to lie down, like a bit of quiet time, you know, there's just a lot, the whole thing. So that was more, and I do think that like the angle and the feminism within it, I hear what you're saying about that moment, but in general is such an important story.
Agreed.
And they get that really right. Like, no, I've never seen another film that kind of is so on the nose about like what it's like to be a woman, and so kind of trying to explain it to men as well. Like I don't know, I didn't go with Ben. I'd love to know what other people. You obviously didn't go to Toad, but I'd love to know. And I know online there's been a lot of backlash. Men saying like, oh, you know, if you want equality, then like you shouldn't be calling it out all the time.
But
blah blah.
But they did justice to the Kens. I think that it was
in what way? Sorry,
as in just like showing their experience and masculinity as well. I thought it was quite balanced in a good way. It was a strong message, but I couldn't get both
totally, because that's the point of Ryan Gosling's Ken at the end. That's he can't deal with the masculinity of it all as well.
So I did think I didn't get all this stuff like angry men on Twitter about.
I suspect they're men who haven't seen it.
I do too. Although I do worry that the message continually gets misconstrued. I don't think this is the film's trying to say this, but I can understand how people walk away from it saying, so basically it's either women on top or men on top, and like someone always has to be repressed in order for the other to flourish. And of course, like, it might sound idealistic, but what we're working towards is an ideal where that's not the case.
But I do think the point is that only happens when we go to extremes. So if men just like didn't have that kind of toxic masculinity and that patriarchy thing, and if women were just able to kind of rise to prominence a little more, then it would all be fine. However, there is a moment, and I feel like I've read about this moment. There's a moment where Margot Robbie is where Barbie there's a moment where Barbie kind of realizes what it's like to be a woman. She's like, I don't feel good enough about any of this, and I'm not pretty, and there's a voiceover which again is supposed to be a joke. It's the voice Helen Mirren is the narrator, and she said, this isn't a spoiler as I say, I'm sure I've seen this clip where they go, note to the filmmakers, you don't cast Margot Robbie in this role if you're trying to make this point. And it's like, hang on a minute, so you're basically saying that the point of being a woman is it doesn't matter what you look like, everyone feels inadequate, but you're still going to say that Margot Robbie's better looking than anyone else in the world, therefore making the rest of us feel inadequate. I thought it was really hypocritical.
Margot Robbie's production company, Lucky Chap, basically did the film, hence why she's in the starring role. And, I mean, she does look like Barbie. But anyway, when I heard that bit, I was sat there and I was like, sorry,
she's approved that.
Yeah, Margot Robbie has sat in the edit and looked at that and been like, yeah, bitches.
Well, perhaps it's let's give her the benefit of the doubt. It might be one of those things where they had said, like, oh, come on, it's really funny. She was like,
to be fair, everyone in my cinema, apart from me, who did that bit out loud.
I just thought, hang on, this is so the exact opposite of the point you're trying to make. It shouldn't matter if you look like Margot Robbie or not. Like,
but this is the problem with feminism as a concept. It's like, it's so easy to tie yourself in knots with it, so you can have this in the edit and then like 2 weeks later it's like in the can, you can't do anything about it, and then you start to think to yourself, hang on, have I just said that everyone should look like, life is going to be easier if you look like Margot Robbie?
You can't make that point about whether you can be happy with the way you are and have any self-confidence if you look like Margot Robbie. And again, that does a disservice to everybody who looks like Margot Robbie just as much as those of us who don't.
Well, and if you don't look like Margot Robbie, like, you're 10 steps behind, so
exactly.
Good luck with that.
We are fucked. Anyway, so I mean, it's worth seeing.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's the thing that everyone's talking about, I think.
However, I wanted to be part of the zeitgeist.
Same. And there were, as we say, there were bits that got really emotional. I was like, this is amazing, but it just lost me.
I just think they lose their grip on it.
Yeah, go see it for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to go.
Yeah.
But go with like your, analytical head on. Because I think I didn't. I think I went in expecting like the best film ever, and then I was really disappointed.
Yeah. That's fair. Okay, let's move on. On the topic of girls, feminism, kind of. Heather, what have you got for us?
I've got, I mean, if you're anywhere near TikTok, you'll have seen it, but there's the whole sort of TikTok craze, so to speak, of girls' dinner, which you even did.
We did.
We
did jump on the trend on Sherlock's, yes.
So it sort of came around a few weeks ago, and it was basically, I'm reading a piece now on Bon Appetit magazine explaining it, but it's the TikTok craze machine's latest creation, girl dinner or snack plates for one. It's basically like a term for like having a plate of bits and bobs for your dinner.
It's a term for lazy dinner, right?
Like picky.
Yeah, picky, but also I've seen lots of like pasta with olive oil, or like, like a really lazy
I
version of
see,
dinner.
because I keep seeing it more as just like bits and pieces that you don't even have to like heat up at all.
Yeah, well, I guess both are lazy, so it's it's basically a version of.
And are they implying this is only on your own?
I think so. Yeah.
Because spoiler alert, I do this every night. Like, sorry.
I guess if you live alone and you're a girl, it's
duh.
Yeah.
Did you have a picky dinner every night?
Well, most nights, because when you live alone, cooking for yourself is fucking boring.
Yeah,
let me tell you.
It's hard. Yeah.
And I suppose you're just like, but whatever you fancy.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Nice.
It's
Yeah.
just so nice.
But that's just called my life. That's not a trend.
Yeah. Well, you should jump on it.
Trend.
I am the trend.
But no, so the trend's amassed over 212 million views.
Oh my god.
It's all about embracing low effort over overexertion.
There you go.
Okay.
Who has time after an 8 to 10 hour workday to follow a 25-step recipe that requires 20 ingredients? Oh, I don't know though. For me, I think I find cooking like therapeutic and de-stress. So I'm very happy even if I get home at 8:30 to like spend half an hour.
Do you really? Even if you get home at that time?
Yeah, I honestly like that's where I like decompress, and I like having like
20 minutes. That is my max.
Mine's more just that I get so hungry. Like lunch is at 1, and so then if I'm home at 7:30, I then can't start spending. Or we then tend to snack for half an hour, and then I'm like, oh shit, I'm not hungry.
The danger zone.
Like,
Yeah, it's the snacking.
Yeah,
shouldn't do it.
Impossible. So what kind of things do you make in the week?
I don't know, it depends.
Like
I've been doing like loads of Donna Hay things recently,
Donna
but she
Hay.
does like loads of good Asian stuff, like little meatballs, like pork and
like lemongrass.
Exactly.
Yummy.
And then you just sort of boil them while you do some noodles and chop up some courgette, and then it's kind of done and it's healthy and nice. But those kind of like a few bits of chopping or pasta. Sardinesca's a good one, which is like tin sardines, chopped tomatoes, olives, capers,
with
spaghetti. Yeah. Like, look, I don't know, just something. I guess for me, just like a warm meal. Like that's what I'm craving in the
like
evenings.
a taste sensation.
Yeah, not
You
just
wanna-
like I don't know. For me, like getting a few bits out the fridge and having them on a plate cold. That's like a lunch.
That's like a
it's-
Sunday
it's-
night for me.
That's
so you
how
would
I-
never do like a picky. We talked
No,
about
I
picky
also
tea last
like.
week.
I hate the phrase picky bits.
Yeah,
It
me
makes
too.
me feel weird.
It's gross.
It's
Yeah.
horrid. Like,
Yeah.
can we stop? If people have been
Bits.
using
I think it's more
it
just
now.
like a bitty dinner.
I understand the concept, but picky bits.
Yeah, it's
I
gross.
don't
I feel
like
it's
it
like
as a phrase.
a picky lunch for me is like a summer lunch where
Yeah.
you have like salad and cheese and
Yeah.
meats and bits and bobs and then you just bread and that's picky.
But if it was
Yeah.
just you, like if it was just me, I would 100% eat like that most of the time.
Yeah.
Especially after work, after a day in the office. Not if I've been
Yeah.
at home or if it's the weekend or whatever. I just
Yeah.
need to be full fast, really.
if I'm on my own, I might do poached egg on toast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breakfast for
With
dinner.
rocket,
But boys,
yeah.
I don't know about you. Do you cook for Tobes every time?
Yeah, I know. It makes me sound like he's
No, but I do too, and that's.
crap,
But I do too, and
Yeah.
that's what I feel like ruins. I don't eat the way I would otherwise eat if I was by myself.
Oh
But
really?
no, not at all.
James just eats what I want to eat.
Yeah,
Okay, so
same.
Ben would. If I tried to make, I would so happily have scrambled eggs on toast for dinner, and Ben would literally just think I'd lost the plot. Like he would never.
Oh yeah,
he
me
just
not
wouldn't want
that, but like as in like we have salmon a lot.
Yeah.
Paul, when he is like, give me some.
Yeah,
fucking meat.
no, I did have one time when Toad was like, please can we not have noodles tonight? We've had it for like 8 days in a row. I'm like,
James
yeah,
gets the
different
ick about
noodles
stuff.
though.
Does that not fuck you off? I would hit
No.
the roof. I would be like, make it yourself.
Ours is that
No.
but Ben does all the clearing up, so
Yeah,
that's just our
okay.
dynamic. It's not like
Yeah.
I'm there like putting the dinner.
I
on
never
the
like to
table.
judge other people's situation, but I've just lived alone for way too long. I
Yeah.
just
No,
don't know
I
how
get
I'm
that.
ever going to get into a situation now with another bloke where he's like, we're not having that. And I'm like, yeah, we are. Otherwise, you're making
I
dinner.
just need to find a man
But
who's
they'd
into
never
that.
say it in that
Yeah.
way. Toes would never say we're not having that. He's like,
Yeah,
please.
he's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
he's-
Ben will be like, okay.
yeah, no, I have started being like, what are we having for dinner tonight? Like you pick and I'll cook but he does. To
That's
be
clever.
fair, it's quite equal. He goes
He
and
does-
buys all the food,
okay.
does all the washing out.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Exactly.
Fair
yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Trust me, no one
Yeah.
needs Ben to be doing the cooking.
Yeah, yeah, well,
that works for
also,
no one.
If he does, I'm like, I'll get ahead before I get there because he's so precise with everything. He'll spend 10
Oh
minutes
my God,
chopping
Ben's
a
the same.
pepper. It drives me Barbie.
Every single piece of like potato or
Yeah.
tomato will be the same size. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you have wasted all your time here.
Or just like
Um,
really follows the recipe to the
Yes,
letter.
yes.
It's like,
And Ben will go
no.
and buy. He'll go and buy like I don't know, like a white mirror or something. And I'm like, you really didn't need that.
Yeah.
one bit.
Yeah.
You know, he'll spend like £40 on
like,
something
yeah.
stupid
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Ottolenghi's finest.
Exactly. So silly. So Harriet, what do you eat then?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of things do you have for dinner?
Well, so my biggest trick, I think, is I do sometimes have loads of just cold stuff, but then if I do feel like, particularly in the winter, that's not particularly satisfying, I do what I call like the double cook. So
Yeah.
I'll make something like salmon,
Yeah.
and I'll do like 3 fillets of it, and then 3 lots of sweet potato or
Yeah,
3 lots
yeah,
of vegetables or whatever roasted up, and then it's basically like meal prepping in the week, isn't it? 'Cause
Yeah.
then you take half of that for lunch the next day,
Yeah.
and then you take the final third, I suppose,
yeah.
for the next day or whatever. And that way it sort of stays interesting, but it's not like you have to reinvent the wheel every single night.
Yeah.
So Hodge, you have salmon, but what do you kind of tend to make a weeknight?
So, I mean, honestly, we're so boring. Actually, it is insane. There's one thing I do.
Go on.
You just said it was boring.
No,
You've
I
got
found
one-
this
one
new.
showpiece.
I've got 2 new things.
Okay.
I found them on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
I spend a lot of my day looking at Instagram for work.
You're like, for work.
So then I'm like, oh my god, it's so good. So you marinate the salmon in like garlic, chili, soy, sesame oil, something else, chili flakes, and then cauliflower rice, and then you cook the salmon. And then you put it in the bowl with the cauliflower rice with like broccolini cooked and edamame beans. And then this sounds absolutely wrong.
No, it's
No,
not.
it
You
doesn't.
get this thing called QP mayo.
Oh, I love
Oh,
it's the only
Heather's
mayo I
obsessed,
like.
yeah.
What is
and
it?
Japanese.
mayonnaise.
But
Oh,
it
yeah,
has
it's so good.
double the
Expressive.
amount of egg yolks in, so it's nicer.
Really creamy.
And then you squiddle it all over, and then you get sriracha and you squiddle
Oh,
that
yeah.
all
Gosh,
over.
this sounds insane.
And then you put sesame seeds and rocket, and then you mix it so it
Oh, yeah, that
looks
sounds
absolutely right.
Yeah, no,
No,
but
it sounds
banging.
like it's like a nice, tasty, healthy bowl.
like a creamy Buddha bowl kind of vibe.
It's the
Yeah.
best thing.
That sounds
And James
good.
is like, it's the best thing you've ever made.
That sounds so
Yeah,
good.
and-
Where's that
and
recipe
we're gonna have
from?
it tonight.
Can I just tell you about something really banging that I made yesterday?
Yes.
It's because I had Barbie was at 6 and I was like quite hungry post lunch. Anyway, so I wanted to make cheese on toast, but I made like the most cheese on on toast.
I want to know. I love a
Okay,
cheese
so like
on
a big
toast.
big slab of sourdough, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I did, so once it was toasted, I then did salted ricotta,
Nice.
kimchi, layers of cheddar, parmesan grated on top, and then I grated fresh parmesan on top once it was all melted
great.
on
Wow.
the grill. It was, I'm honestly, my mouth.
Yeah.
My mouth is just like
It was
filled with
honestly
lemon.
stunning. It was like you had the crunch of the kimchi,
Yeah.
but then like the softness of the ricotta, like it was so creamy, and
Oh
then all
my
the cheese.
God.
I was so pleased with myself.
Well done.
That's
Thank you.
amazing.
But like I would go home and have that for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
But
Let's
Ben
create a
will
reel.
not have that for dinner.
I get quite obsessed. If I found something I love, I
Yeah.
Oh,
eat the same
yeah,
thing.
It
yeah.
was so good. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, that's that. The thing I brought to talk about was the return, according to the Evening Standard, of, they're calling it a bougie burner phone. How Gen Z is bringing back Y2K tech this summer. And it is basically saying that the coolest girls are ditching their smartphones or kind of putting aside their smartphones and also adding a good old-fashioned flip phone to the collection. They said, what you don't expect as you turn to exit the crowd they're talking about if you were at a festival is someone standing there, music blaring, crowd jostling, completely immersed in a game of Snake on the Nokia 2660. If it was a 2660, I don't remember.
I can't picture that.
I had an 8310 to start with.
I had
Yeah.
a 3310.
Yeah. Apparently there were a lot of them at Glastonbury. There's a big photo
see
of
it.
Sophie at Glastonbury using hers. This was just a couple of weeks ago. So Sophie's 28, so we're not talking about like teenagers here. And she says, I've got O2 on my iPhone and Vodafone on my burner, so I'm covered on battery life and separate networks. The point is that particularly for festivals,
Yeah.
it's just quite helpful to have. And actually it talked about the Barbie movie in here because it says that Alan, played by Michael Cera, who plays Alan in the film, isn't a part of the Barbie crew WhatsApp group
Ken.
because he's not a Ken. Yeah, he's not a part of it. He's not part of the crew in the film or in real life because he has an old flip phone as opposed to a smartphone with WhatsApp on it. So I wanted to know what you guys thought. I mean, I there's half of me that like absolutely loves the idea of completely saying goodbye to an iPhone and just going back to you can text me if you need me.
Yeah.
Heaven.
Yeah.
Heaven, right?
Yeah.
I think we don't really, I mean, we use our phones so much for everything. You know, like maps. I get out of the tube now and I'm Google Maps
Yeah.
to get, there's just, we just use it. It's so ingrained.
But I
don't think
suppose
we
in
go
a way
back.
though, then like, I don't, like, obviously there are negatives to that, it makes you less independent, blah, 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 but then there are, like, it would be really annoying to go back to having a phone and then like an iPod as well, if you wanted to do music.
Yeah.
And, how would I get anywhere, like, literally anywhere in the car?
Yeah.
I don't know, Harriet?
Yeah, there are definite advantages. I can see like practical living has been made easy. At the start of the pandemic, I was in a really good reading kind of pattern. And then I don't think I read properly. I maybe read like one book in the rest of 2020 and 2 books in 2021, which is just anyone who knows me like knows that's not who I am at all. And then this year, I like very, very recently, I would say maybe May, have got back into it, and I've read like 7 books in 2 months, which is much more like my normal style. And that's not to say like, oh, everyone should be reading, but what it has taken is for me to like very consciously like put my phone far away, because otherwise I just sit on the sofa in the evening and just scroll. And that is what I think I could really like do
it's not good for
without.
the
It's
soul.
not like, it's not enriching my brain.
But we all know consuming too much of it
It's not
is bad
good.
for us.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not good.
And those algorithms are designed to keep you addicted, and therefore most people do have too much of it. Heather?
Yeah, again, love me a phone, but it's more like being contactable all the time, and that maybe that expectation that you need to be replying to stuff ASAP because everyone knows you've got a phone with you at all times.
And you can't underestimate that is the reason that so many young people now have anxiety, right?
But then equally, like, it's so you can't take some elements of the immediacy of the modern world, like next day delivery, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
Deliveroo, all the brilliant conveniences that it comes with, and then not want others, I guess.
It was interesting what you were saying about the festivals and battery life, actually, because I do need a new phone because mine doesn't even last half a day now without it, and when I'm not even doing anything
Totally, mine
with
too.
it.
Yeah, but then I've got a battery pack, which has changed my life. I can't leave the house without that.
Yeah,
battery,
I
but it's
need
the best
to
thing ever.
remember to have one with me because the amount of times I'm on my way back, like,
you need one in your bag.
Yeah, but also, have you seen the new Samsung advert for the Samsung?
Yes, I have.
It's such a good advert.
Yeah.
It's one of the best
Which
ones
one
I've
is
seen
that?
in years.
It's like some kids around a picnic table.
Yeah, like it's sort of summer camp
Yeah.
type thing, and it's basically like, don't look at the phone or else you'll want it. So it's almost like a bit of like a horror film thing, because if you see the phone, you're like, you want Samsung instead of the other sort of smartphones. But it's very cleverly done. But I can see. I don't know. I can see the flip phones making a comeback.
But just
not
the
just
admin.
for...
Do you have 2 different phone numbers then?
Yeah, I guess
Oh,
so.
yeah.
And then keep having them both charged. And then what do only some people get your flip phone?
But no, because what you could do is you could have a number on your flip phone and you could just use your iPhone for internet connection.
Yeah.
Because then you could still WhatsApp. I don't think you actually need a number.
That's
Or you do need a number to save, but that's not that that doesn't have to be like a number you can call or text or anything like that. So you could just keep that as like your internet phone for when you want to like dip into the immediate world.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And
It's too much admin.
Hodge, do you have any of those like restrictions in place on your iPhone?
For the kids?
Or for yourself? No, for yourself. Like the kind of, okay, it's been 2 hours, get off Instagram.
No, I get my weekly screen report and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You're up 13% this week. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I can't bear that. But no, I don't. I just I ride with it.
Just go with it. And
The thing is, for certain people, it's so intertwined with their job.
Yeah.
I am on my
the
phone
thing.
all the time.
Yeah.
Especially Hodge,
Yeah. Do you guys put your phone away on holiday? Like, are you
Yeah,
going to just like
I
put it
do.
in a drawer?
I do.
Yeah.
I don't
I
even reply
don't.
to messages, as in WhatsApp
Yeah,
or
same.
anything.
Yeah, if I'm on holiday,
Yeah.
not interested.
Yeah, I'm going to do that later this
Yeah, it is because
Yeah.
you do need a break and like don't look at Instagram or anything
No.
like that. I know it's tempting to, but I think it's so nice to have a complete just I don't know. I just feel like how can you really enjoy where you are if
Totally.
you're somewhere amazing if you're kind of keeping an eye on what's going on with the crap news in the UK
Yeah,
or like
whatever it
various
might
other
be.
things
Yeah.
bubbling away.
And like when I'm on holiday, I don't post stories
No,
or anything.
no.
I just do it when I get home.
Yeah, exactly.
I try to because then you can't help but engage with friends
Totally.
going, oh my
Of
God,
course,
I've
yeah.
been there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're so,
So
right.
it's actually just don't do anything.
Yeah.
If ultimately
same.
we all know that being present and like living in the present is the key to like happiness,
Yeah.
then there's no argument at all for ever being on your phone.
No.
Unless you like absolutely need to be.
Yeah.
So,
Less
Yeah.
social media for us all.
Yeah.
This is also saying that digital cameras and camcorders have come back into
Yes,
fashion.
I've
Apparently Emma
noticed
Chamberlain and Bella Hadid have used them. I'm down for that.
yeah,
It's quite fun.
I can see
Yeah.
the Lux girls using
Yeah,
those a lot.
it's that kind of vintage aesthetic.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's answer some questions. Someone has said, this ties in nicely to our girl dinner chat. Hello, I'm looking for some recommendations for solo dining in London, preferably around either Notting Hill or Kensington. Flying visit next week for work and would love to find a nice spot for dinner. Thanks in advance. Where do you guys stand on going out to eat by yourself?
It's
Great.
cool.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the idea of it, but ooh.
I take a book.
Do you? Do you take on?
I take a Kindle.
Do you actually, or do you just look at your phone?
I was just looking at my phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
TikTok.
I take a Kindle.
Do you? Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
Kindle, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think trying to eat and read at the same time is really
Yeah, it's
hard.
tricky.
Yeah,
Like,
I
the
even
amount of
find
times
it scrolling
I've
quite
taken
hard.
a book
Yeah.
and you've kind of got your elbow on trying to eat and the page keeps
Yeah.
flipping
Yeah.
and it's getting
Yeah.
covered in food. It's
Yeah.
like-
I take
It's
real
easier.
pleasure in doing that. I
Oh,
don't know what
yeah.
it makes me feel like a grown up.
Yeah.
Which is obviously some of my own shit, clearly. But yeah, I really like that.
I think growing up in films and series, very carry, I suppose. So
Yeah.
to be like, oh, I'll just have a martini at the bar on my
Exactly.
own.
Yeah.
and have
Yeah.
a
Oh,
That's
see,
how
I
it's
don't know if
done
I'd
it.
go for a drink by myself.
Oh, I would
Oh, I
easily
would,
go for
yeah.
a drink, but it's the eating that.
Oh, weird. No, I would
Freaks me
definitely
out.
eat, but I think going because everyone's got to eat, right? You've got to have supper. Whereas there's a slight. I would be concerned about a slight air of desperation of going for
No,
a drink by myself.
there's so many times where like I'm somewhere earlier
Yes.
than others and going into a pub and having a pint and reading a book there
Yeah.
in a cosy
Yeah.
corner, that's
That's interesting.
great.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
I don't feel
Yeah, I
remotely
think it's quite
self-conscious.
sexy going for a drink at a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before, like, I went to Chiltern Firehouse Week to meet friends today, and I was early, which is so un me. And and I sat for like 45 minutes at the bar, I had 2 glasses of champagne,
I do think
Yeah,
that's
ate
that's-
olives,
I
and did my diary.
I think if you're sat in the place, this is nuanced, but if you're sat in the place where people are coming to meet you,
Yes.
that's right. But the idea of kind of
Going
actively
out.
yeah,
yeah, maybe.
Depends, I suppose. Yeah, it depends where
That's
you
personal.
are, or if you haven't seen anyone all weekend or something. But then I'd probably just call a friend.
Yeah, and you
I
want to
Yeah,
just
suppose,
get
but-
out
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
vibe
Yeah.
and see some people.
But
Yeah.
eating,
Yeah.
Yeah.
great.
yeah, ditto.
She asking for
So
recommendations.
she's asking for recommendations. I mean, I would always pick a bar.
Yeah. But I
So
think there are
is
so
that.
many great places now that do counter dining. So
Yeah.
I think, did she say Notting Hill?
did, yeah.
Because there's Kuro Eatery, which I think is an amazing sort of Mediterranean Japanese fusion place, and they've got a countertop. I think you could easily go
countertop.
there and
Yeah.
not feel self-conscious and have
Totally.
a couple of plates up there.
Yeah.
Really, really
Yeah.
good.
You could also try Dorian has a bar as well that you can eat at in Notting Hill.
Exactly. I think
and Strikers as well.
Princess Royal in Notting Hill as well. That's got a really good sort of huge bar bit where you can order all the bar snacks and some of the main food as well. I think it's bustling and you don't feel like exposed.
Yeah.
So
I think you
that's what you're
want
paranoid
busier,
about.
don't you? I've been to Coney's by myself a couple of times.
Yeah,
because it's also it's so cheap. Diet Coke and a bowl of pasta is like £20. Like you don't have to spend a fortune, and you're still in that nice environment.
Yeah,
and
good people watching.
Yeah, really.
I'm such a stare at him.
Like, I'll sit here so I can look at everything.
Exactly.
That's such an interesting question because there's been a big debate in the food world this weekend because Alex Dilling at the Cafe Royal have just announced that they're charging single diners double because there's only 11 tables in their restaurant and there are like lots of people have just been booking in as one, so we can't then sell the other things that are only doing like half
so
the
it's
amount.
Single supplements.
Exactly, but it's like then as a single
penalising.
person, you're paying nearly £400
No, I think that's good.
to try this food
But that's
because you're
that's
going in
many
on your
industries.
own.
Hotels do it. And...
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. You can't pay half for a hotel room.
No, but this just seems.
Yeah.
I can understand the benefits to their business and why they've made that decision, but that just does seem pretty wild.
It's quite extreme.
Yeah.
I think you must how is that problem happening genuinely that frequently that you need to put it into place? But maybe it is.
Well,
Maybe,
they clearly feel it is.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Anyway.
Okay, someone has said, looking for a way to thank my bridesmaids. I've already given jewellery, so looking for alternative options with meaning. That's nice. Hodge, have you had a nice bridesmaid gift?
Well, maybe like a really nice photo from the day of her with the bridesmaids or one-on-one with the bridesmaids.
Yeah, that's a nice
and then
idea.
a really nice frame.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Anything else, Harriet?
I think you can't go wrong at Gigi and Olive. There's so many lovely like little trinkety bits. I know there were some really popular. They got like the most clicks on the website of these little sort of handkerchief things.
Yeah, they're lovely.
Yeah, sweet.
That say happy tears on them and stuff.
Nice.
And you could put like a bag together of just like little bits if you just wanted to do something a bit smaller.
Yeah,
you're
right. Gigi and Olive is a bit of a one-stop shop.
One-stop shop.
Yeah.
There's something for everyone on there.
Yeah. Anything else, Heather?
My friend, when I was her bridesmaid, got me some really, really nice glassware. So like
That's
really nice Waterford crystal. Just two of them, but like whiskey tumblers. But
That's
again,
really nice.
like now when I get them out, I'm like, oh yeah, these are from Zoe's wedding. So
that's really nice.
That's really nice.
I think that's quite nice. Something like that you can then remember. And commemorate with.
Yeah.
That's a nice idea.
Finally, someone has said, how do I grow my self-confidence and stop comparing myself to others? Comparison is the thief of joy, as we all know. But what are your tips? I mean, we've talked about social media. Obviously, it's something that everybody slips into. What are your tips for avoiding the noise? Hodge?
I just think, behind all the images, there's a real person and everyone has got shit they don't like and would change and swap and nobody looks in the mirror and thinks, Christ, I look insane. Everyone thinks, if my nose was like that, if my hair was like that. So I think just try and remember that everyone has insecurities and you're not alone.
Yeah, good advice. Heather?
I think it takes age and practice, but just you'll find something you like about yourself eventually and then just focus on that.
Yeah, focus on the good things.
And I think treat yourself like you would your friends as well. I know people say that a lot, but like you'd never be like, oh, look at this or that, or why are you doing this, or what's going on. You just try and treat yourself a bit more
your
like
best cheerleader.
Exactly, be your best friend.
Well, and they talk about how many weeks it takes to break a habit or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you have to actively practice. Like, you've got to put in the work, right? You have to actively practice the positive messages.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, Harriet, any other advice?
I mean, she doesn't say how old she is, but I think in my sort of early to mid-20s, definitely sort of post-university, I really took stock of my friendship group. And it sounds quite harsh, but I would not invest time in spending time with people who don't make you feel good about yourself and are constantly like out for competition, basically. That changed my life quite considerably, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yes, if you don't have to compare yourself to the real life people you interact with, that will inevitably make life easier.
Yeah.
And then you can just worry about social media later.
Yeah,
exactly.
Lock your phone in your drawer, like we said earlier. All right, thanks everyone. Thank you for listening. If you have any feedback at all, please do email podcast@sheerluxe.com. Don't forget to check out the Sheerluxe community, or you can look out for our question box on social every week. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and tell your friends. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.